So we're in the heart of the Biltmore village, and this is the Swannanoa River that flooded. You could just pan over here real quick. This area was hit really hard. We're down here with CDI, Gary Peterson, going to look at some Desiccant dehumidifiers and just give you all a walkthrough while we're doing it. But Biltmore Village is just south of Asheville. Wow, look at that. This area was just decimated. Biltmore Estates, which is the big mansion, is back over there about a mile. That's the old Vanderbilt mansion, but there's a CDI unit over here. So part of the process is when the water recedes, you clean out the building, but then you got to dry it out because a lot of the stuff's wet, and that's where these units come in. So it typically consists of a generator, and then a dehumidifier, which is what this is here. And Gary's with the company that makes these called CDI, which is Climate by Design. So what you're looking at here is we're drying out the air, the outside air, which is at about 40-degree dew point. 40-degree dew point. We're drying it even further, and we're pumping that dry air into the building, and that's drying out the building. Okay? So this air is a lot drier than the air in the building, so that's the process. What you got to do initially is just get all the mud and muck out of there. We've been doing that a lot this week down in Marshall, North Carolina. How you doing? And then the next stage is Gary with Climate by Design. Some sort of dehumidification or some natural ventilation in there and really dry the building out.
So I was just coming down to see all
these dehumidifiers, you need a generator. Unless you've got 460 power.
Yep, absolutely.
Which most of these buildings don't, even when the power's on. They don't have any power here, so these generators everywhere. This is a typical scene after the flood, so. Trying to find the water line. I think it was up here somewhere, I'm not sure. All this restaurant equipment here. This is filled with mud, so I'm pretty sure, well, this is all wet. This is all under the river. Yep. For sure. What's that? Wow, that could be the water line. Yeah, look up here, Dave. That makes sense. Just crazy. So this area was hit probably the hardest. I mean, there were so many areas hit hard, but. So they bored this off, duct the air in there, and I think these are these 5,000 CFM.
These are
smaller.
This one's a 5,000. That one's a 7,500.
So 12,500 CFM going into this whole area here. It's a lot of dry air.
Yeah, they're pumping ducting to the upstairs too.
Yeah.
I imagine this hit.
Yeah, so load warm air, 90-ish degrees, and I think, what did we say the dew points were? About 20?
Yeah, I got my meter.
So again, the dew points out here, in terms of flood recovery, this is like heaven because it's warm out today and the dew point is about 40, which is really low. especially when the interior of the building's really wet. So
Running out of that.
yeah, so it's 37 degree dew point out here, 71 degrees. So if we want to go in there, we can see.
Yeah. I'm going to take a reading.
This is what's called the reactivation air. It feels like a dryer vent. You can kind of think about that moisture as the moisture we're taking out of the building in an indirect way. It's really the moisture coming off the wheel, and it's drying out the air that we're bringing into the building. It's not technically the moisture coming out of the building, it's the moisture coming out of the air we're putting into the building, but then that air is absorbing moisture from all the materials and stuff that's in the building that's wet still. So this is the supply inlet. So again, we're just bringing in outside air. Sometimes you'll actually bring return from the building and bring it into the units, but in this case, the outside air is already drier than anything you're going to find in there. So we're just taking the outside air at 40 dew point. We're bringing it down to the low 20s dew point. We're plugging it into the space here.
Can I go in and take some readings?
Okay.
Thank you.
You can feel already it's crazy dry in here. And what do we call these again?
Lay flat.
Lay flat. So this is called lay flat. I'm assuming it's called that because when there's no air in it, you can lay it flat and roll it up. And
yeah.
So it's great temporary duct. You've got the
basically throwaway duct.
Throwaway duct, and you've got the duct coming off of the dehumidifiers, which we saw, the heavy canvas duct. You bring it in the building and you kind of stop it there, then you could reduct it or further duct it with the lay flat. And you could actually just tie it up to the ceiling and poke the holes where you want. It's a great way to distribute this very warm, very dry air. It's really dry here. You can feel it on your lips. And we're going to do a reading here, see where we're at. The desiccants do a great job of pulling out heavy volumes of grains. A little bit different process than mechanical cooling. Mechanical cooling and reheat is good for dehumidification. It's an excellent way to dehumidify. We do that on most applications, but something like this where you're trying to move a lot of air and pull a lot of grains out of it, it's a great way to do it. Just taking some readings of the supply here, so.
So we had a temperature coming into the unit at 71.6.
Yeah.
We got temperature coming out of there at 98.1. Grains coming in is 31.93 grains per pound, and we got 8.87 grains.
Wow, so
going through
serious grain depression. 22 degree depression, kind of what we saw on the last job.
Right.
So, yeah, so the dehumidification process with the desiccant pulls moisture out, but it adds sensible heat. We don't care about the sensible heat in these scenarios. It actually kind of helps heat up the water that's in surfaces and in materials, so it helps with the drying process. So that's why it's hot in here, but it's very dry, so we don't care. So what is the dew point in here? Take a minute to recalibrate. 15.
Dew point is 14.6.
So the dew point in this space is very low, so probably very similar to what the supply is.
Right. So if you're talking, some people talk relative humidity, which we talk dew point.
Right.
So the RH in here would be about 4.5.
4% RH.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we got a temperature in here of 91.4.
91.4.
Yep.
So, and they're just ducting these units out here. Again, Biltmore Village, you can look it up. Nate, maybe you can give them a little pan out here. You can see the, you know, the destruction, but pretty common scene around here today. Piles of rubble, a turned over truck, generators, a dumpster, dehumidification units, a lot of guys in PPE. Yeah, pretty crazy. But again, this area was hit really, really hard. Asheville, the city itself, not that bad. The River Arts District, terrible. Biltmore Village, you're seeing that now. Marshall, downtown North Carolina, Marshall, very bad. Where we live, we were unaffected. We were up on a hill in our cabin. We did lose our office though. The Insight Partners office is on the French Broad River, so that is, all the contents have been washed away, the building's still there, so we're gonna rebuild that. The owners of that building are doing a great job of getting that going, so we're not too worried about that. So. What do you think?
They might have some more desiccants around the back too, so we can kind of venture around.
Continue our Biltmore Village tour?
Yes.
Come on.
Golly, man.
Look at all this.
All right, we'll walk downtown here. They might have some units in the back, but
We saw some other ones this way. This old church here. Got a couple of Desiccant units here, a generator or two.
He's with Insight Partners, so he's doing some podcasts for LinkedIn. And then I flew in last night to Charlotte, and staying in Nashville. So I'm here till Wednesday.
You guys go.
Well, I'm happy to see the equipment's running for you guys. And
So at this church, we have 4 different Desiccants running.
okay.
Actually, we got 3. My bad.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna have to find the schematic and find out which one is from the corral to the supply fan, right? Yep. Oh.
Nate, this is Troubleshooting 101 right here. You want to get a shot of that?
So this has got the Benshaw, the GM2 series VFD in it. So there's a cover on here.
You need a stool?
Right. Yep, I can see the terminals coming here, and the terminal block is right underneath. We're just waiting for the program to load.
I just heard it click.
So I'm going to turn it on. So it'll just take a minute for it to go through its...
So these are fan-cooled motors. So there's a small fan in there. It's moving now.
Gary with CDI.
Spencer.
So we are just over in Fletcher here a little bit ago with your guys' equipment. We build your desiccant equipment.
Perfect.
So I flew in last night, that had just come out and see how, right.
I was just curious about who.
No, we're good.
I know, I didn't think you were going to try to loot it.
No, God, no. Jeez. So that's got a 2000 CFM unit in it.
All inside?
All inside. Should be a generator in there too. Here's what a 3-inch pitch ducting looks like.
Oh, okay.
To a 6-inch.
Got it. So there's a generator in there?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
And then it's ran off of gas.
So this unit, we hadn't seen one like this before. Come around here, Nate. Instead of electric, it's run off of gas. I was wondering how it could fit a generator in there, and that explains it because it's running off the gas to drive the desiccant reactivation process, so it doesn't need a huge generator.
Right.
But it will need a lot of gas. But there is a small generator to run the fans, and you've got this gas tank here to run the reactivation. And it's 2000 CFM?
Maybe there's not. Maybe this is. This looks like it's hooked up to house power.
Oh, okay.
208. Because these come in, if these are in gas, they're coming.
Oh, okay.
208.
So correction.
Right, correction.
We were 90% there.
We were
90%.
We were.
Hey, we're in a disaster zone here.
Yeah.
Give us a break. So no generator in there, but it does run off of shore power in RV term. But basically they can pull 208 from the building here. So
Right. But you can see the power.
it's a good solution.
Yeah.
If you don't have a big 150 kW generator, it's pretty good size. So.
Right.
So if you need a small unit, this is a good solution. Beautiful historic building.
Yeah.
So this street we just came down. pretty darn bad. So, an old ductwork. Dumpsters full. Look at that, Nate. Boy, some of these houses, you just think, yeah, maybe.
How old they're? I mean, these houses are old.
Well, that's plaster, isn't it? Not sheetrock.
Right. You can just tell by the brick foundation. And
Yeah. All Souls Crescent. This is insane.
yeah.
This is the worst I've seen. So I've seen downtown Asheville. River Arch District is pretty bad too. But this is so dense,
Yeah.
and just the destruction is like, I mean, really you're left with some wet shells of buildings. Everything is like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, it's not only people's homes, but their businesses. And this, by the looks of it, it was a beautiful community.
This is one of the nicest areas in the area, because everything kind of fits. The architectural standards are there for every business. It's really nice.
Right. Where do we want to go here? I'm going to put my mask on.
We'll walk down here for a minute, Gary.
Okay.
I think the water was actually higher than that trash can there. But it's definitely higher than me. Look at this, Nate. Wow, crazy. Whew. Gary, what do you think?
Devastating.
Well, we did some good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we helped raise a little awareness about Asheville area and Western North Carolina in general. You saved the day on a couple Desiccant units, helping out some very hardworking folks, helping this community to come back. Yeah, it's a good day.
Yep.
We got to learn about recovery firsthand,
Yeah.
right? So, anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll put some information in the video description on how to get a hold of Gary, or in general, if you have one of these events and need help with a company that can try it out, we can hook you up with some professionals in your area.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great job, buddy.
All right, thanks,
Good to see
Tony.
ya.
Appreciate it.
All right.